Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, you can see me and hear me. Hey, my name is Keith Jones, and hopefully, you can see the flyer. Oh my goodness, we got a good one for you today. But before we go too much further, hey, if you don't mind putting in the chat where you're from, we would love to know where you're coming from. This is where we get to know where people are coming from. And oh, by the way, this is a live meeting, so if there's a question that you have, everybody stays muted. However, you get to put it in the chat, the question. So I already see we got Brooklyn by the way of Crown Heights, New York showing up. So thank you. Again, I'm out of Virginia. And then you know what? We wouldn't have this if it wasn't for my friend Scott Buckles. Man, Scott, I am so appreciative of you actually putting this together. You had the vision of having investors come together before COVID. I know. So it's really awesome how you had that vision just to kind of show people that, can I do real estate investing? The answer is, of course, yes. But you allow for us to be able to come together to talk to investors who are in action right now. So there's probably a lot of people on here. This may be their first time here. So I just want to welcome everybody here who's coming in from Woodbridge, Virginia. How you doing? We got Dapper, Utah, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, Chicago's in the house today. So as you're starting to put in the chat where you're from, again, you get to exercise where you're going to go. Scott, I want to go ahead and turn over to you because I know, as you can see, this is special. I'm stoked. I got my pen, I got my paper. I'm just ready to just absorb. I'm like a big sponge today. And I want to turn over to you, my friend, because I know you're just ready to talk about our special, special investor today who's going to take time out of their day to share with us, as busy as she is. I am so grateful. So I'm going to turn over to you, my friend.
Well, thank you, Keith. Did you say enough specials there for this person?
I
I
probably
feel
need to
honored.
add
Does
some
that
more.
count?
Well, welcome. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday, September 6th. Oh my gosh, we've got what? Roughly a little less than 4 months in the year. We love doing these property tours. We've been doing these property tours now for over 6 years. And my concept or idea of this back before even COVID hit was that it would be great to bring people from around the country onto a platform where they could see a community and investors who are really doing deals. And of course, everybody on knows that everybody has a different story, everybody has a different path on how they get to real estate. And, these property tours, the fact that we love doing them, it's just that we get to move all over the country and feature different investors. And today, our featured investor is Beckie Lambert and her husband, Dr. Nate Lambert. He's busy doing a bunch of stuff with the kids. And Beckie took time out of her busy schedule with her family because, yes, not only, and I'm not going to steal a lot of thunder from Beckie. Not only is she a super powerful, successful investor, she's also a mother of 8. So, again, welcome everybody. Please type in the chat room if you have questions. We're going to really try to keep this to right at an hour. I know Beckie's probably got 3 hours of information to share with us, but she is a pro. So, Beckie, come on out and we love kicking these off first by telling a little bit about you, your story, because there are going to be people on today that have never met you and they don't know your story. And it is like, it's mind blowing and so inspiring. So go ahead, Beckie.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate that. And thank you, Keith. So, my name is Beckie Lambert. As they mentioned, my husband Nate and I are both real estate investors. For those of you who are wondering if you heard him correctly, the answer is yes. We have 8 children. That's 8, as in we are 4Xing ourselves. We are outnumbered 4 times to 1. It's awesome. I love it. We have 6 boys and 2 girls. We are both real estate investors, but I'm going to give you a little bit of heads up of our story. We got into real estate in 2 different paths. I'm going to show you both paths and let you decide which one you think is better. Ultimately, you need to get into real estate investing if that's the path you want to be into. But yeah, not all paths are created equally. My husband, Nate, was a professor of psychology at a university, and he found it was just not as fulfilling as he had hoped it would be. This is before I married him, obviously. And he ended up getting into real estate and just became super addicted. He surrounded himself with people who were succeeding on a high level at doing what he wanted to do. He invested in himself and got educated, and then he ran with it, and he has done amazing things. I, on the other hand, didn't even know that there was education out there. I had tried to read a book or two at the library, but most of them were so outdated that it wasn't super helpful. It was like a book written in the 1940s about how to invest in real estate. And you and I both know that the 1940s is not particularly applicable to today because the economy's changed, the market changes, and what worked in the 1940s doesn't necessarily work today. So I learned real estate investing myself the hard way by picking up properties, making lots of mistakes along the way, and discovering what to do and what not to do by doing both. So, one thing I will start with is just this caveat that my story is awesome. There's some great stuff I did, but I had to learn a lot of hard lessons along the way that were expensive lessons that if I had surrounded myself with the right people, they could have warned me in advance, hey, that's probably not the best way to go about doing that. So I became a landlord and I walk you through some of the properties I have and what I did getting into it. But I learned how to not be a landlord by making mistakes and having to kick tenants out. I learned what to do as a landlord by by losing thousands of dollars, um, tens of thousands of dollars on mistakes along the way. But I've learned a lot. Eventually, I did learn the same stuff my husband knows. He just learned it in the least expensive possible manner. And I guess that makes sense. My math teachers growing up used to always say, Becky, you always get the right answer, but you come about it in the most complicated method possible. So I guess it makes sense that that's exactly how I did it in real life too. I'm going to teach you how Nate did it. I'm going to teach you how I did it. I will say, getting into real estate, I don't regret it. It has absolutely been a game changer for me and my husband. Ultimately, it's kind of what brought us together as a couple. But I would recommend you follow his path more so than mine. But I'll teach you along the way what I learned and what has worked really well for me and the things that I learned along the hard way. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to kind of walk through that. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. I do monitor the chat fairly regularly. It makes it more exciting. Otherwise, I feel like I'm talking to myself. Scott mentioned I have 3 hours worth of content. The truth is, Scott, I could sit here for 12 hours and teach, but then you'd never have a reason to bring me back. If I taught you everything in one sitting, you'd be tired of me and you'd never need me back again. My goal is to be able to come back and say hi to your team as often as possible. So let's go from there. I have a little slideshow I'm going to start with because some of the pictures are super powerful, at least in my opinion. I'm going to walk you guys through how I unlocked $2.5 million of hidden value in my rental properties in real estate investing. If you would like to unlock $2.5 million from your portfolio, could you go ahead and put a dollar sign in the chat room? I'm guessing most of you guys would, and I can't promise that exact amount. Everyone's situation is different, but just know it took me a long time to get to this. It took my husband a whole lot less time to get to the same number. And actually, that number is a lot higher than that now. But this is the number it was as of the time that I married Nate Lambert. We'll walk through that story. Oh, actually, just a second. Let me go back because I'm not even sure what that was. Give me a second. Okay. Share. Okay. So here's a little bit about me. I have actually been in real estate investing for over 21 years. I'm almost not coming up on 22 years now. One of the things that really helped me grow a lot was that I accidentally became a landlord and discovered how much I loved it. And while I was an accidental landlord, I got into banking because it helped pay the bills and discovered that I could be a commercial real estate lender. And I learned awful lot about commercial real estate as a lender in that time period. While I was there, I specialized in real estate, commercial real estate, that's office, retail, warehouse, multifamily, storage units, flex use, any of that kind of stuff. And I specialized in projects between 1 and 35 million as the loan amount. The actual projects were upwards of 55, 60 million, depending on the project. In the course of the time there, Nate and I were estimating recently, I bet I underwrote over 2 billion with a B dollars worth of commercial real estate projects. I probably only funded one out of every three. And at the time, I thought I was a mean lender. I can tell you now, as an investor myself, I throw out 99 out of 100 of the projects that people send to me they want us to invest in. because my underwriting standards are pretty strict on what projects we will invest in and which ones we won't, which we'll go into that a little bit later on. My husband and I have actually co-authored on two different books together. One's called Active Life Passive Income, and one of them is called Real Estate to Freedom, Financing and Funding Your Empire. If you want free copies of either of those, reach out to Scott. We'll get you a copy because our goal is to help you start on this real estate journey, help you learn as much as you can to be successful on the journey, and help you surround yourself with people who can inspire you to do it, who can give you direction along the way and help you to be successful along the way. It has made a huge, huge difference in our investment portfolio, my husband and I. Um, a funny quote that I'm really proud of, the chief lending officer of the bank where I was at, who was one of my best friends, he once looked at me and he said, Becky, you buy houses the way that most women buy handbags. He's like, my wife will come running in and say, Brady, I found this really great deal. Look at this purse. Don't you just love it? It was on sale. Do you know how much it should have sold for? And he laughs. He's like, you walk in my office and you say the exact same thing, but it's about a house. I'm like, well, why would I want a handbag? I can't rent that out. That doesn't generate income. That's a waste of time. He just laughed at me. He's like, you are not like any other woman I've ever met. So when I lovingly let him know I was leaving the bank to do real estate full time, he looked at me and said, quite frankly, I've always known that was coming. I didn't want to bring it to your attention in case you hadn't already thought of it. So yeah, it's awesome. For 22 years, I have told everyone I do real estate. I have made friends and brought them in and taught them how to do real estate. People that I worked with, people that were contractors on projects, our neighbors, our friends. Back in the days when I was single, yes, a few of the guys I went on dates with are actually partnering on projects with Nate and I, and we're teaching them how to do real estate. It's really, really fun. We've probably, between Nate and I together, well, I've probably taught 75. I think Nate has about 200 clients all over the country that we work with and teach them how to do real estate through the Renatus groups, so because that education is so helpful. We talked about me working my way backward there. Okay, so how I got into real estate was the accidental real estate investor path. We call it house hacking. I want to talk a little bit about house hacking because in some ways this is in fact the easiest way to get into real estate. I bought a house that I wanted to live in, but it had 6 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2 kitchens, and 2 living rooms. It was a good price. And my plan was to move a few friends in with me and have them help pay the mortgage. After I moved my friends in, we still had 3 extra rooms besides the one I was living because I only had 2 friends that I was really wanting to live with. The rest of them, it was maybe. I had 3 extra rooms, so I posted them online and realized that I could get a lot more out of rents than I realized. Just with those 3 rooms that were rented at market rents, my mortgage was only about $850 a month. I was getting $975 a month from 3 of the 6 bedrooms. My roommates, my friends were getting discounts, and I realized this is a great way to go. I'm not even paying the mortgage. So over time, I started picking up more properties. You might think, well, how many houses can you live in? Here's the cool thing with house hacking, guys. You're only required to live in it for a year and 1 day. The mortgage documents that you sign say that you agree to live in the house for more than a year. But you can keep the mortgage on after that. You don't have to refinance it. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't refinance it into an investor loan. You have completed all of the terms of your owner-occupied mortgage loan after you've lived in it for 12 months and 1 day. So 12 months and 1 day later, I bought another house, moved into it, put roommates in the extra bedrooms, and turned the other parts of the first house into rentals. So at that point, with 6 bedrooms renting between $300 and $350 a month, on those 3, I was making about $1,900 a month. Remember, the mortgage was about $850. That was awesome. So I did that again with the next house. The next house I bought was actually an up and down duplex property, so like an ADU essentially, but it was zoned as a duplex. I remodeled the upstairs and put myself and those same 2 friends in it, and my roommates were paying more market rents at that point. The downstairs was another 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, so I rented that one out for $1,500 a month. My whole mortgage was $1,200, by the way. And I fell in love with real estate investing. So a house hack is when you take the house you're living in and you find a way to rent out a part of that house. You can rent out a bedroom in the house. You can rent out a portion of the house, like divide it off and turn it into, like they call it, an ADU or an accessory dwelling unit. Obviously, you need to look at your zoning allowances and in your area. There are some places in the country that don't allow this, but Utah, where I am at, A few years ago, they actually made a state law that allows accessory dwelling units as long as it is an attached dwelling unit and an owner occupied home, because we have a pretty big housing shortage. That state law trumps HOAs, townships, counties, districts, any other rules in the area. It trumps all of them. So you can do that on any house in Utah. A lot of states have been following suit doing the same thing to help cover the housing shortage issues. So that's how I got into it. Let me walk you through some of the math of it and then I'll show you some pictures because the pictures are the fun part, okay? And Scott, if someone puts a question in the chat, I don't see the chat here because I've got a full screen up. So can you just do me a favor and monitor the chat and
Absolutely.
jump in and ask questions if it's pertinent to that area? I can always answer questions at the end, but if it's a question that's specific to this area or this particular topic, please jump in because it helps clarify. Sometimes I forget to explain certain terms that are common knowledge to me because I've been doing this for 21 years. And other times I'll use a term that common knowledge actually uses different terminology for it. Because again, I didn't get educated. I learned how to do it the hard way, the long and most expensive route. But I got there eventually. I just paid more for it, unfortunately. Okay, so here's the benefits of a house hack. When it's an owner-occupied mortgage, usually you'll get about 1 to 1.5% interest rate lower than you would on an investment property. But the really big difference is owner occupied, you can pay as little as a 3% down payment. If you're VA, if you qualify for VA benefits, which is the Veterans Administration, you can qualify for no down payment whatsoever, depending on your particular situation. Whereas if I'm buying it as an investment property, a 20% down payment is like minimum you're going to get. Usually it's 25% down. So do the math on that. If you're buying a $200,000 home, it adds up pretty fast. If you have to put a 25% down payment, you're looking at a $50,000 down payment, not including your closing costs, your title and closing fees, your appraisal fees, all those kind of things that go into it. So it can get kind of cost prohibitive for most people to pick up very many rental properties putting that much money down. By house hacking, I could put a 3% down payment, which in this case would be $6,000, significantly more affordable. I was getting a lower interest rate and I only had to live in it for a year and 1 day. That's kind of the math on how it pans out. Let me show you the actual numbers. On a purchase price of $500,000 with an owner occupied home, you have a $15,000 down payment, an interest rate of say 5.5. Now I know that interest rates are a little bit different right now, but this is one of them this was from I created this like 12 months ago. And your monthly payment in that interest rate would be $2,753 per month, okay? As a investment property, if you're not planning to live in it, the same property would have a 100,000 down payment, a 7% interest rate, and a monthly payment of $2,661. So notice that by putting $85,000 more down, I only dropped my payment by about $100 a month. I don't know about you, but I'd much rather put that $85,000 somewhere else and save the money. Even more powerful is over the life of the loan. On the owner-occupied property, between the interest and the down payment, not the principal, just the interest and the down payment, you'd be paying $521,000 plus some change in interest and down payment. On an investment property, it's $658,000. So not only is it a higher down payment, you're paying about $130,000 more over the life of the loan for that particular exact same house. By living in it for a year and a day, I saved myself $136,000. Totally worth it. Guess what else I do when I'm in it? While I'm living there for the year and 1 day, I get to know all the neighbors. I take really good care of the property. I take care of the yard. I fix it up. I get to know the neighbors and let them know my goal is to really clean up the neighborhood. I love this area. Become friends with them. I let them know, well, I may not live here long term. I haven't quite decided where I want to live long term. But what I can tell you is all the tenants in this house are background checked. I credit check them. I verify their income. That makes the neighbors love you because they know that you are building the neighborhood and the community more so than just trying to make money, which I make money on both. It also saves me a lot of headache if I have screened the tenants before I move in, before I put them in there. A lot of people ask, well, can't you only do that once? No, the truth is you can have 10 owner occupied mortgages on your credit at any given time. And when the first one's paid off, you can pick up another one. So that's the cool thing with house hacking is you can pick up 10 houses that way and potentially more as the first house is paid off. It opens your credit for another one. So it's a rolling benefit. It's not a 10 properties total over your lifetime thing.
Hey, Becky, this is Keith.
Yeah, Keith.
Hey, so you bring up a really good point because I know sometimes when people when they get ready for the new year and they talk about you should have a 10-year plan, not just for business but for your life. And I don't want to just gleam over it, but you just kind of showed us that if you really focus on real estate investing, you can actually buy a house, choosing to do this every year in a day.
You're in
And
one
you
day.
worked on your 10-year plan. When people say, I want to work on my 10-year plan, you just showed us a blueprint just that quick. And I just want to say thank you. I just want to make sure people understood what you just showed. I mean, that was like a golden nugget right there.
Thank you. I just taught you how to pick up 10 properties in 10 years and 10 days at the lowest possible rates.
Yes, you
Yes.
did.
And the one downside is if interest rates go down, if you refinance them, you'd have to live back in it to get those owner occupied interest rates. But a lot of times, if interest rates have gone down enough, you can actually refinance it as an investment property as long as there's enough equity and just capture on a lower interest rate as long as the investment property interest rates are better for you. So, yeah, there's a lot of flexible ways to do it. Make sure, obviously, that you can rent it for enough to make it cover the mortgage. It has to be a good investment. We're not picking up houses just for the fun of it. And unless it's a house you want to live in long term, you want to make sure that these houses are ones that have good rental values after you move out, that this is a desirable floor plan and location for a rental property. Okay. Good question. Thanks, Keith. I appreciate that. Okay. So let me show you the actual pictures. This is the terrible picture of it, unfortunately. The very first house I ever bought, that's what it looked like when I bought it. I put it under contract for $155,000. And I'm going to be the first to tell you I was scared because my parents, my friends, all of my cousins and aunts and uncles were saying, Becky, houses will never be worth $155,000. I bought my first house for $27,000. You're way overpaying for it. Okay. You'll regret this. You're going to lose everything. I know somebody's cousin's uncle's neighbor's dog who lost money on real estate, so therefore it's a bad idea. I am sure every one of you have heard this. If you've ever heard that, can you just put your hand up in the chat or put me? If someone has ever tried to talk you out of a real estate investment because they know or heard, not know, because they've heard of somebody who lost money in real estate. I can tell you in my life, I have experienced that over and over and over again. I still experience it. And I am a super successful real estate investor. So to a large extent, I tell myself when people try to talk me out of it, that that means I'm probably doing it right. It's just part of how it works. This house, it looks small on the outside. It actually has 6 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2 kitchens, and 2 living rooms. The house was never listed on the MLS. They just put that sign in the front of the yard, which says Coldwell Banker, but it was never on the MLS. I put it under contract for $155,000. By the way, this is a road that almost no one ever drives on it. You only drive on it if you have a house on this road. It does not, it's not a main thoroughfare. So just putting a for sale by owner sign on the front is not going to get much traffic. That's the one I told you about where the mortgage was 850 and every bedroom was rented out between 3 and 350 a month. I came in, remodeled this house. I only put about 55,000 of remodel, not a lot into it. Fixed up the yard, did some remodeling on the inside. So yeah, it looks nicer. Let me tell you how that worked out for me. This was as of about 13 years ago. So I bought it for $155,000. I put about 25,000 of remodel into it, so a whole total cost of about 180,000, okay? About 4 years after I bought it, it appraised for $300,000. No, actually, 2 years, because I used this as a refinance. 2 years later, it appraised for $300,000, which is almost double what I bought it for. I refinanced it, took out $245,000 after including with the cash out. That was the new mortgage amount. So I got 65,000 of cash out after repaying myself for my expenses. And I used that $65,000 for the second house that I picked up. That house today, I will show you the numbers on it a little bit later on. This house is now rented at about $3,700 a month. And I have no mortgage on it. My tenants have paid the entire mortgage. So that's $3,700 a month to go toward whatever I want to put it toward. I have a few expenses per month, but nothing major. The tenants have been all really great. Some of them been there for 5 years. That house is rented out as an up and down duplex. It's a cash cow. The neighbors love it. I've actually picked up two other houses on that exact street because people call me and say, hey, so and so down the road just passed away. Her family wants to sell the house. They're not sure what to do with it. Do you know somebody who might be interested? I'm like, yes, I do know someone who might be interested. Me. So, yeah, oh, let me go back. Ooh, skipped one there on accident. Okay, so this, as of a year ago, it's now at 3,600 a month in rent. But at the time that I made this slide a year ago, $3,265 a month in rent. The mortgage was 1984, but it's not anymore. It's now fully paid off. So I was averaging 1,200 a month in rents in cash flow after the expenses. This one is now about 30 after it's 3,600 a month is my rent on that income. After expenses, I probably net around 3,200 a month on that house. Oh yeah, so yeah, totally paid off. Ooh, wow, I'm going fast. I gotta be careful not to touch these Apple mouse pads. They're a little bit more sensitive than I'm used to. So yeah, one particular house that I paid $155,000 for that everyone told me I was gonna regret buying brings me about $35,000 a year in cash flow per year. I don't know about you guys, but I would consider that a really good rate of return. And I've loved it. Not to mention, I've had some really great tax benefits from that house, which I'm not even going to go into on here because we'd be here for hours. This is the next house I bought. It's a single family home, but it was actually zoned as a duplex. The realtor who listed it never took the time to figure out how it was zoned. They just listed it as a single family home. They had pictures of the outside of the house, and that's all they had on the MLS. But the house sits on a half-acre lot, which is a pretty big deal for the Salt Lake market. Most everything's like 0.15 at best. Pretty ugly on the outside, but the inside has vaulted ceilings, granite countertops. It's actually really quite nice. I don't know why the realtor didn't even list a picture of the inside of the house, but I'm grateful she didn't. They listed it at 275. It sat on the market for about 6 months. I'm a runner. This is how I pick up a lot of houses, guys. I run a different route every time I'm out running. I see houses that are for sale. I see houses that are distressed. I put in offers. I stop and talk to the neighbors. This one was one of those that I ran past it a lot, talked to the neighbors, put in an offer and picked it up for $255,000 and discovered it was already zoned as a duplex. So I didn't even have to change it. I just added a door on the back so it had a separate entrance. Super, super easy. Yeah, if the realtor had realized it was an ADU and is zoned as a duplex, that really should have sold for $375. The realtor didn't do a very good job, but that's okay. I was thankful for that. I remodeled the exterior of the house quite a bit, as you can tell. Looks so much nicer when it was done. Let me show you some of the pictures of the interior. That's the downstairs unit. Granite countertops. You can see it was actually quite nice on the inside, huh? I did remodel this somewhat, but I didn't do a ton of it. So with this house, the combined rents between the upstairs and the downstairs are a little over $3,700 a month. So this house, after living in it for about a year and probably a month, it took me a little while to find another house that I wanted to move into. I refinanced this one. Remember, I paid $255,000 for it. I put $68,000 of remodel into it. It appraised for $525,000. So I was able to refinance the mortgage and take cash out. I walked away with $97,000 of cash equity on this property that I rolled into the next property that I bought. That's with, and including the mortgage, the new refinanced mortgage, that one cash flows about $1,800 a month that goes into our personal fund. We roll it all into a big bucket and we use it to buy commercial properties now. So yeah, about $22,000 a year from that house. I do not have to sit at a desk to make that money. It just comes in every month. My husband and I travel the world a lot. Why? Because our tenants pay rent, whether we're in Utah or in Morocco. We can go anywhere in the world we want. We still make money because our tenants are paying the rent. This is the next house I bought. It's a side-by-side duplex. It was never listed on the MLS. The seller just put it on the local newspaper classified section. I reached out, took a lot of negotiation. At first, he was a little hesitant. Finally, I told him I'd take him to lunch anywhere he wants. He can pick anything he wants, and we discussed the property. He picked In-N-Out Burger. For those of you who are familiar, it's a burger and fry joint. It is not that fancy. I was kind of shocked. I'm like, okay. So for the cost of a burger and fry, I got this house under contract for $325,000, which in Utah for two houses for that price was an amazing, amazing deal. I remodeled this one. I put about $33,000 of cash remodel into this one. I have not refinanced this one because with this particular property, I didn't want to live in it for an extra day, for another year. If you refinance, you start that 12 months and a day clock over again. I didn't want to live in this one for an extra year. I had a pretty good interest rate on it as it was. And I had another property I really wanted to pick up. So without refinancing, I didn't take any cash out. But let me show you how the math on that one pans out. The rents are $39.50 a month. The mortgage is about $2,100 a month, mortgage plus management expenses. So another $22,000 a year from just that one particular property that I hold. And here's the other cool thing about it, guys. This isn't money I get once or twice. It happens every year. That amount goes up typically every year or every few years. It's money that if something happened to Nate and I, money that could still be used to take care of our kids. It's money that will go into perpetuity, our children, our grandchildren. And if our children and grandchildren don't screw it up, it'll be money that's available for our great grandchildren. Kids, don't screw it up. We keep telling them, don't screw up what we're starting for you guys. This was the next one I bought. This is probably of all the properties I've ever bought, one of them that I'm most proud of.
Hey,
And
Becky,
there's actually a handful of properties in the middle I haven't told you guys because we'd be here all day. Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
yeah, no, this is really awesome because what people are starting to realize, you really need to start. I'm starting to see you started and then it snowballed, if you want to use that as a word, or a
Yeah,
domino effect, but you purposely moved from one project to another because you had a strategy. And I
right.
kind of like how you had that strategy of going by. And then a question came in, it's like, because of these properties, do you use a property management? Do you do it yourself? Because you mentioned, you travel now,
Mhm.
but even back then, did you have a property manager? And then you kind of squeak something in about the family, and you say kids don't screw it up. So do y'all also teach your kids this? I mean, I'm just out of curiosity.
Oh, great question, Keith. Yeah. So let me give you the short answer of this one. Before I married Nate, I did not have a property manager. I managed every single one of these houses alone as a single mom working 50 to 60 hours a week, raising three kids. Not my smartest move. Again, get educated, learn how to do it right. I mean, I made good money and I did great with it. I'm actually a really, really good landlord, but it's not the highest and best use of my time. I just did it because I really like people. Nate was shocked when we got married. We probably had 15 people show up at our wedding that he's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's a former tenant of mine." "Oh, who's this one?" "That's a former tenant too." He's like, "Do you have any tenants you're not friends with?" I'm like, "Nope." Um, a lot of them are still good friends of mine and they actually invest in projects with us. I don't regret what I did, but I could have grown a whole lot faster if I wasn't trying to be the investor and the property manager and the breadwinner and the this and the that. My kids, from the time they were born, I have hauled them to houses to clean out sink drains myself. Like my son, when he was 4, he could clean out a sink drain. He knew how to unscrew it. He knew how to clean it out. Um, yeah, I'm glad he learned that. That was awesome. But again, that was not the highest and best use of my time. So I'd haul them to all the former houses and the one we were in, and we were remodeling. I wasn't a single mom for all of that. I was married for part of it, but my former spouse just had some challenges and he wasn't super helpful on it. So yes, I was living in the property as I remodeled it. Good question, Michelle. And I loved that. The kids and I loved it. This particular house, the fourplex here, and one thing Keith had asked about was like, do I teach my kids how to do this? Yes, I do. I teach them how to work. I'm a big fan of it. I grew up in a farming community where we all hauled hay and moved sprinkling pipe together. And we're not talking the machines that haul the hay. We're talking the hay bales that are over 100 pounds a piece that you have to lift and throw on the stacking truck. That was my childhood, and it really made me who I am. And so we've tried very intentionally to teach our kids hard work and skills that will be useful for them. One of which is understanding that real estate, if you do it right, isn't just about making a bunch of money per month right now. It's about setting yourself and your children and your grandchildren up for financial success into perpetuity. There are benefits to both, but I tell people even if your property is only cash flowing $300 a month, as long as that gives you a debt service coverage ratio of a 1.25 or better, you're in a good place. Just hang on to it because over time that debt is being paid down. The mortgage is eventually going to get paid off, and that's going to be part of your retirement portfolio. Now, that retirement might be when you turn 65, Or if you're like Nate and I, that retirement might be when you hit 35. Depends on what you're aiming for. So, yeah,
You
very
did,
good
you
question.
did just say 35, right?
35. I just turned
35.
40.
Okay.
Nate was semi-retired for the last about 5 years. I only recently pulled him out of retirement because I showed him how exciting commercial real estate can be, and I got lit a fire underneath him, and now we're like running full steam ahead. But not because we needed the money, not because we have to, just because we love it. This is what we want to be doing. He didn't intentionally retire. He went through an unexpected divorce, and he ended up with full custody of all five of the kids, and his former spouse moved out of state. And so he was the sole caregiver along with working through some trauma with the kids. And he kind of had to put real estate on hold for a little while and take care of his children. And that's kind of how he became semi-retired. But the cool thing with real estate is he made money that whole time without working in it really almost at all. He was continuing to make money because the properties pay rent, the tenants pay rent. That's one of the things I love about it. So this particular house, it's a fourplex. Yes, it is ugly. I know. That's why I loved it. There's two other houses to the side that have red instead of green. I don't know why they picked Christmas themes. Don't get me wrong, I like Christmas too, but the weeds were ugly. I picked up all four of these properties for $1.2 million. This is a fourplex here in Utah in the Cottonwood Heights, which by the way is at the mouth of one of the major ski resorts in Utah, one of the biggest ski resorts areas. This driveway has a little bit of a slope. I don't know if you can see that, but
Oh,
in
yeah.
Utah in the winter, we get what's called snow. How much fun is it to drive down that driveway in the wintertime when it's snowy and icy? Not fun. All of those pillars had signs of people sliding down the driveway, hitting into them. I
Hmm.
bought it because everybody else looked at it and thought, this is a disaster. This is a terrible idea. We could never make this property work. At the time I bought this, you could not buy a single family home in this area for less than 600,000. I bought four of them for 1.2 million. Do you see where the vision comes in here?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that driveway sucks. That's why I'm a real estate investor. I make money by solving other people's problems, the problems that other people think they can't be solved. Let me show you what I did with this. Which, by the way, the realtor didn't list good pictures on this one either. These houses all have an amazing view of the entire Salt Lake Valley at night. Was never even disclosed on the MLS. There were no pictures of the view of the decks on the back. Awesome. But the best part is that the bus to go to the ski slopes is across the street. And there's only one other stop. So you can get on the bus right there, and there's one stop before they go to all the ski resorts. And so this is a perfect location for both rentals and Airbnbs. Here's a side view of all four of these super ugly houses, but some nice mountains in the back.
Look at that view.
Unfortunately, it's not the clearest picture, but yeah, views are great. Ugly trees, ugly weeds. Who designed these houses, right? Okay, so here's my value add. I took those carports. Actually, let me go back one. Do you see the little like carport thing? It's a
Mhm.
two-car carport. The only thing that makes it not a garage is there's not a garage door enclosing it. Otherwise, it'd be considered a two-car garage. But when you slide down the driveway, why put a door there that you're just going to crash into anyway? So it's all but a two-car garage, but it's not a usable garage. I turned those into two additional bedrooms. They were once two bedroom, two bathroom houses. Now every one of them are four bedroom, two bathroom houses. So what do we do with the parking, right? Well, I actually made a pedestal parking lot where you can now fit 16 parked cars instead of the five that was before we had nine. You could fit nine cars. Now you can fit 16 cars on a not sloping driveway. You park your car, you walk down, and you come into your four bedroom, two bathroom house. So here's the design layout. I converted the unusable garages into two more bedrooms and a full bathroom per unit. I updated the kitchens, put new windows throughout, and then updated the exterior of the unit, and then that parking garage. This was the biggest remodel project I'd ever undertaken. It was $328,000 and some change. Okay. This is what it looked like when it was done. I don't know about you guys, but raise your hand if you like the exterior of this house way better than that green, red, whatever was going on, something, something. So much nicer. When I bought those units, all of them were renting for 1,200 bucks a piece. Less than 9 months later, they're all rented at $2,600 a unit. My
Mm.
mortgage didn't change. I just put 300,000 of remodel. So you can see kind of the banister from the parking lot. And you can see I haven't even finished the yard area yet when I took this picture. And now there's a much nicer yard and it looks even better. 2.2 million purchase, 328,000 of remodel. My total cost into it is 1,548,000 and some change. It appraised about a year later for $2.3 million. I did not sell this sucker because I don't want the capital gains tax on that
Mm.
increase, but also because I'd rather the cash flow. Let me show you where the cash flow is. I lived in this unit for a year and 1 day, okay, which allowed me to pick up all 4 units at an interest rate of 3.15%. My mortgage on this house is $4,970 a month for all 4 units. In the Salt Lake market, that's one house right now in a lot of places. The monthly rents on this is a little over 10,000 a month right now. I think we're closer to 11,000 a month. After mortgage and expenses, I'm netting over $5,000 a month. This purchase made us $61,000 a year in cash flow. So, in the course of only a few years, we will have repaid ourselves all of the remodel into it, which we're pretty much done now, and $62,000 a year in cash flow that goes towards our dream life. We call it the dream life cash flow. That's what Nate and I title it. It's the cash flow that goes towards allowing us to do what we want to do with our life. Spend time with who we want, where we want, when we want, for how long we want, and how we want. It's our dream life. That's what makes us excited. And for us, that's travel, but it's also doing things philanthropically that really incite excitement in us. These, I'm only showing you 4 houses. I actually own 12 houses. Those 4 houses alone that I just showed you, or 4 house hacks, make us $140,000 a year in cash flow from just 4. Kind of exciting, isn't it?
It's
Right?
very exciting.
Woo! Yeah, this is what I want to inspire people to see. And I'm only showing you cash flow. Cash flow is one of the 4 benefits of real estate. It's not the only benefit. If this was the only benefit, I would still do it. But the rest of the benefits are also awesome. You have the cash flow from the rents, the tenants that pay down your mortgage until it's
Mhm.
paid off so that you have no debt on that. We get these really awesome tax benefits. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but our tax laws are very clearly written by real estate investors and for real estate investors. Nate and I make about 4 times what I was making at the bank, and we pay less than half as far as a dollar amount of taxes of what I was paying in taxes as a single mom working for the
That's
bank, working 50
amazing.
hours a week.
But Becky, you know
And
what?
it's all legal.
But this is, I mean, Becky, you know what? We're gonna turn it just a little bit, just a little bit, right?
Go
Because
for
I
it.
mean, this is all awesome, right? But sometimes I hear things like, you said, single mom, you was doing it, and there's a lot of women on today, but really, it's hard out there for a woman to do things, and then you're trying to say that you can do it in real estate investing. I mean, what would you say who's somebody who may not have came on at the very beginning to hear your beginning of the meeting, but came in a little bit later and they said, but yeah, but it's hard for a woman to do stuff. What would you say to somebody who's thinking about real estate investing or got who's getting started or just had that hesitation because of that belief that they have?
You need
Limiting
to
belief.
change your own limiting beliefs. The only reason it's hard is because you tell yourself it's hard. Guys, I have a master's degree in econometrics. Do you know what level of math I used to do real estate? The stuff I learned in 3rd grade. It's really not near as hard as the work I was doing at the bank. This is way easier. What makes it hard is that you have to feel the fear and do it anyway. You can't let other people tell you, well, I know somebody who lost money doing that, so you shouldn't do that. By that same definition, I know somebody who got divorced. You should never get married. I know somebody who went to college and didn't get a job in that field, so you shouldn't go to college. I know somebody who didn't graduate from high school and had a good job still, so you should never graduate from high school. I also know somebody who's worked in almost every single industry and it didn't work out for them, so you should never work in any single industry. I also know people who had kids and the kids didn't turn out great, so you shouldn't have kids either. I don't know why we apply that limiting belief to real estate, and not to everything else in life. By that same definition, you should never leave your house or your bedroom for that matter. Like, don't leave your bedroom. The world's dangerous.
Yeah.
We have to like outdo the fear. The reality is, if you didn't feel any nervousness or any fear investing in real estate, I'd worry about you. That like your sense of self-preservation, that button's probably broken. All of us feel a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of fear when you're doing something new. That's human. That's normal. But if you run the numbers correctly, if you learn how to analyze the numbers, if you learn how to vet the projects, this is way less risky than a W-2 job. We have most of the population of the world sit in a W-2 job for, 40, 50 hours a week, making money. And they think, oh, I'm not going to do real estate because real estate's dangerous. It's risky. Okay, let me walk you through why that is the exact opposite of the truth. It is way more risky for me to sit in a W-2 job making my employer money, knowing that on any given day he can fire me and I have nothing. Nothing. My employer might fire me because there's somebody else they want in that position. They might fire me because they lost money and they need to downsize. They might, fire me because of, I don't know, maybe they don't like people with brown hair. Who knows why? Things like that happen. Everyone I've talked to has a friend or a relative who's lost their job unexpectedly and they're put into a really difficult situation. The thing with real estate is no one can fire me. I own it. It's my money. No one has the ability to fire me. This money comes in every month, every single month. Which one's more risky? Really, truly, which one's more risky? And the truth is, I did both for a while because I was scared until I got to the point where it was too expensive for me to work for the bank. I was making so much more money in my real estate endeavors. And quite frankly, I love them more. I love the people I worked with at the bank, but I don't miss the job. Not at all. I love having the freedom to be a mom and to do what I wanted to do. What really inspired me to quit the bank was that I was missing out on so much of my children's lives. I was missing out on the school plays. I was missing out on the class activities because I couldn't leave the desk job. I have this sacred 2.5 weeks of vacation time that you have to allocate out all year long. And after that, you have nothing left. And so I couldn't use much of it because I wanted to take the kids on a vacation. And then I would allocate out one day here for a really, really special event at school, but then miss out on all the rest of them. And then one here. And then you have those like sacred 6 sick days a year. But as a mom, a single mom, they were never used on me because this kid gets sick over there. And then this child needs to have, tubes put in their ears for surgery. So I got to take a sick day here. And I've got this and I've got that. Like, I can't even tell you the number of times I had to go to the bank when I felt dead as could be. I could barely roll myself out of bed. I was so sick. But 6 days a year is not enough. And I needed them for other things. A huge one is I actually get hyperemesis gravidarum during pregnancy, which is where you're so sick you can't keep food and water down. I had to be on IVs twice a week, the whole pregnancy, just to keep the baby and I both alive for all three of my kids. And yet I had to haul my butt to work every single day because you can't take 9 months off work unpaid and still pay the bills. I learned quickly that real estate is the way to be because I wanted the freedom to do what I needed to do and to take care of my kids the way that they need to be taken care of. I can help them with homework and come back up and take a client call. And then I go back down and make dinner. And then I come back up and put an offer on a house. I live life on my terms and I would never go back. At this point, I'm truly unemployable. It's sad to admit that, but I'm unemployable. I could never go back to a W-2 job. It's the freedom, like it's the freedom. And I didn't even talk about the net worth benefits. All of the houses I own have gone up in value over time. So I'm getting even more net worth that I could use if I needed to. Let me show you. I know we're running out of time, so we don't have a ton of time. This is one example that I just really wanted to show. This is a spreadsheet. It's not fancy because it's from my actual numbers. This is that very, very, very first house I ever bought. Every year up through 2024, I haven't included 2025, okay? You can see how much money I made per month on this house every single month, renting out the 6 bedrooms all the way across. So below it, you have total rental income in 19 years, $556,000. Total expenses minus the mortgage, the net cash flow over 19 years, which I've now owned it for 20, almost 21 years. This particular house, net cash flow, $189,000. That's more than I paid for the whole house. It appraised recently for $610,000. I have no mortgage on it, so if I wanted to sell it, I could make another 610 on top of that. It saved me about $25,000 in taxes from just having the tax write-offs. So that $155,000 investment now would net me $825,000 if I sold it right now. I'm not going to sell it because I like that cash flow number continuing to go up. I like the tax benefits and I don't need the money, so I'm not selling it. This is one house. This is probably the smallest of all the houses in my portfolio. And that's just one example. Real estate is not about getting rich quick, it's about playing the long game. The faster you get into it and grow your portfolio, the more it grows over time. Make sense?
Absolutely.
And we talked about this, so I'm not going to go too far into it, why to invest, but the recurring cash flow, the legacy benefits for your children and grandchildren. But for me, the time freedom is the most valuable of all of those. I never miss a school activity anymore. I never miss taking care of a kid who's sick. I never miss Nate and I, like yesterday, he's like, hey, let's drop everything and go to the temple together. I'm like, okay. So we dropped everything, went to the temple together, and it was a beautiful evening. Throughout this winter time, a lot of times he'll say, I freed up your calendar for tomorrow. I want to take you on a ski date. We'll just go skiing all day. Why? Because we can. That's why. So I guess in summary, I just wanted to point out there's two paths. I showed you my path. It was super successful, but it took me 17 years to get to what you saw. Nate got invested, learned to invest in himself first. He got educated. He met this community of people, the Renatus community. And through that, he learned how to do the same thing I did in the much faster method. I can tell you when I married Nate, I was a little bit cocky. I thought I knew everything in real estate. I watched a class called Tax and Legal and realized I had structured my business wrong. I had actually gone back to estimate it and realized that by listening to the advice of a tax accountant who supposedly specialized in real estate, who had advised me wrong, I had overpaid on my taxes to the tune of at least $50,000 that I could not go back and fix because you can amend for a back 3 years. You can't go back 20. $50,000, and that's just including the part I couldn't amend. Sick and wrong, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. I learned the hard way, and that's only one quantified mistake. There's plenty of others I could have told you about that we'd be here for hours on. So my direction and advice, if you were to take advice from me, is surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do and get advice from them so you can learn how to do it right. I'm just going to skip through some of these pictures. This is Nate and I the last 3 years. This is in Mexico, Bora Bora, Tahiti, Caribbean with our kids. Those are some of our 8 kids. This is what real estate allows us to do. We were making money on every one of these trips. Obviously, that's Paris, Morocco. I think Morocco was one of my favorites. I liked riding camels into the Sahara Desert. That was really, really cool. This is taking our family. We took our kids to Eastern Europe for 6.5 weeks. Very, very cool. And guess what? Our real estate paid for it, and we continued to make money the same as if I had sat at a W-2 job. It was
Hey,
cool.
Becky, before we run out of time,
Yeah.
just take a few minutes and talk about, I know you can't go in depth in this, but talk about commercial, what you guys are doing and how you're blowing it up in commercial.
Absolutely. Let me just get to the end of these pictures because it's just easier. Okay, so let me tell you what we're doing in commercial. Yeah, I think I already summarized all of that. Be curious, keep learning, and educate yourself. Don't learn the most expensive method possible the hard way. Okay, so let me tell you what Nate and I are doing now. We are commercially investing. We actually are not almost, we're exclusively investing in commercial real estate these days. We have our portfolio of residential properties and they cash flow great, so we're hanging on to them. I have a property manager who's managing all of them because between Nate's portfolio and mine, it didn't make sense to manage them and ourselves. And quite frankly, I should have done that years ago. Again, his networking community taught him that skill early on. I didn't learn it till I married him 17 years later. It's been a game changer. We are now doing only commercial real estate. When I left the bank, a lot of my clients actually reached out to me and wanted to partner with me. They said, "We wanted to partner with you for years. Your knowledge is really, really good in commercial real estate, but we couldn't partner with you as the lender. That's a conflict of interest. Now that you're not the lender, do you want to partner? So Nate and I are partnering with a variety of people on projects. I vet the deals. Nate brings the deals. He attends conferences all over the country a lot. He attends like 8 or 9 of them a year. He brings me back hundreds of deals that people want us to invest in with them. I throw out probably 99 out of 100. I will warn you, in commercial real estate, you've got to get educated. You've got to learn how to do it right. It's very profitable. It's a great avenue. But 99 out of every 100 deals that I see are garbage. They really are. So you have to know how to vet a deal before you invest in it. Don't let someone talk you into investing money in their deal unless you are 100% certain you know how to run the numbers yourself and it is a good deal. And it's not just 1 or 2 sets of numbers. We don't have time to go on this, Scott, but I have a
No.
whole spreadsheet that I use that includes about 25 major calculation, not like numbers, like 25 calculators. There's a debt service coverage ratio calculator that has 18 elements in it. And then I have a service coverage ratio sensitivity analysis that has another 25. It's complicated, but once you start to learn it, it breaks down pretty easily, pretty fast. It's not
Mhm.
rocket science that you can't learn, but you got to learn it from people who know what they're doing. We are doing commercial real estate. We're picking up apartment buildings in areas where there's just really, really great discounts to be had, that have great coverage ratios. Projects where most of our properties right now are bringing in returns anywhere from 25 to 30% per year on your investments.
Mm.
I'm loving multifamily right now. I also really want to do storage units at some point, but right now people are overpaying for storage units. So
Yes.
you have to be able to watch the market. The thing with real estate, guys, is you can't learn one trick and always use only that one trick. As the economy changes, in whether we're in a recessionary period or inflationary period, the market changes and what works in real estate changes. This is another reason why community is so important, is so that you can be networking with people, seeing what's working in their market, what they're doing, and adjust your investment strategy according to where you can make your highest rates of return right now. And I'm not saying highest rates of return with high risk. I'm saying highest rates of return while mitigating out your risks. These apartment buildings we're buying, they're way lower risk than any of the single family homes I ever bought. They're already rented out. We're coming in remodeling a few units at a time, but one of them's like 452 units. Even if I remodel 10 units at a time, it has almost no impact on the cash flow of the property. Remodel 10, raise the rents, and then rotate and do another 10. It's really quite an awesome strategy to get into, which I love. It's got us really fired up and excited.
That's awesome. Keith, did you have anything you want to throw in as we wrap up here?
I'm like still trying to take notes. I'm still in shock and awe of like just for today, just taking time out, of your busy schedule just to share with us. And I know you're ready to get back because you got soccer games and all that kind of stuff because you are a what we call a moms, right? So you but I just wanted to say thank you for just, you know, sprinkling all those golden nuggets. And we had to realize it, that is, it was a golden nugget. And the reason why I said it is because you're right, it does take education. It takes some type of being around people to even first recognize the opportunity and to understand that. And what I saw and what you were showing is that your vision has to be bigger than your mood swing. You had a big vision back then. No, I mean, seriously, back then when people kept telling you don't do it, but your vision was bigger and you went forward. And then you kind of showed us the difference between being told about real estate investing versus taught in that time span. But again, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You were very
Becky,
welcome. Happy to
I
help.
love that. Becky, I loved how you constantly talked about relationships. And I was sitting here thinking to myself, if I was not a part of this real estate community called Renatus, I would have never met you.
No, we would
I
never have met.
No, and I have learned so much from you today. Like, I cannot wait to go back and watch this recording multiple times. So thank you very much for coming out. We really, really appreciate you. Hope to have you out maybe another time later in the year. and so you can kind of update us on what you're doing. I know that you've already acquired with some partners one large, was it 452 units?
452 units. That one's in San Antonio, Texas, 15 minutes away from SeaWorld San Antonio.
And now you're working on acquiring, like in a week,
Mm-hmm.
250 plus
Supposed to close
units.
next Friday.
Oh,
Woohoo! 292 units. We have partners on
292.
both of those, so some of our friends and investors are actually partnering with us on the project. Because the thing with commercial is you can buy commercial projects and they're awesome, but you have to come up with like $5.5 million as the down payment. Most of us don't have that sitting around in a checking account. And so we bring people together who all have it. We all partner together. We vet the deals as much as we possibly can. I've been out to every one of these projects multiple times. And then we all partner together and we all make the rates of return together. It's one of those things where like rising tides lifts all the boats that go in it together. We all work together to lift each other.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Keith, you want to wrap us up?
I just want to say again, thank you, everybody. I'm looking at the chat. People are saying thank you, thank you, thank you. There's a lot of like
Oh,
diamonds.
thanks.
They just really appreciate you taking your time out. There's probably other questions that they had, but they were just in such an awe that sometimes you just got to just like listen to absorb, right? And again, I appreciate it. And I just want to thank everybody who's here, who came. So next Saturday we have another one. Again, Scott Buckles, thank you again for just putting this together. And Becky, tell Nate, hey, thank you for allowing us to borrow you and your kids, right?
You're welcome.
Thank you. And then also the words of wisdom that you gave to the women today, because there was a lot of them that was saying thank you and they agree with you. I don't know if you saw the heart emojis going
I
up and
did
stuff
see a
like
lot of them and it made
Yeah.
my heart happy. I will say I was really, really proud to show Nate that on our next project, that 292 unit apartment building, um, approximately 65% of our investors are single women.
that.
Not
Oh,
that I want to raise both men and women, but I was so proud because I think it goes a long way to show people that you can do this. Just because it's primarily male doesn't mean you can't do it.
totally agree. Totally agree. Well,
It's awesome.
I'm gonna let you drop the mic right there and just
Woo!
say, hey, thank you for everybody for
Yes.
coming. And we're gonna close this one out and see you next Saturday.
Have a blessed weekend, everybody.